What up, guys? Yeah, we got another beer review coming at you. This one is from New Holland Brewing Company out of, Holland, Michigan. But it is Cabin Fever Brown Ale. And sometimes just nothing beats a nice brown ale. Simple, to the point, fantastic. But let's see if this one is actually fantastic. Crack this thing open. That going. Very deep, dark brown. Almost to, it's not black, but that is molassesy brown. Real, yeah. Super dark brown. When you're going with your Crayola crayons, it was on the way down with the crayon color. I don't have kids, so I don't know. Do kids are they still all about like the 96 pack Crayola with like the crayon sharpener in the back? That was like, if you had that back in the day, you were hot shit. You're like, that kid's got the 96 pack. It's like, my parents went cheap, give me like the 8 or 12. And it wasn't even the Crayola, it wasn't even the official one. It was that knockoff brand that broke all the time. When it comes to crayons, you've got to go name brand. Kind of like Cheez-Its. Don't give me that store stuff. And I don't know how I'm a weird tangent to start off. Anyways, this is 6.5% ABV. And let's get into the review. Get into the smell. That is very. That smells almost like a wintry ale. Granted, it does show a cabin in the woods in the snow, so that makes sense. But just in terms of aroma, it's got a very strong aroma that you'd get really in the middle of winter. One of those winter releases. But there is a nutty charcoalness to it. Very charcoaly. A robust flavor, aroma. A little bit of a hint of a barley. But I'm getting more of a toasted toffiness to it. Maybe a bit of caramel. I was trying to see if there's something sweet going on. Maybe that caramelly kind of deeper molasses sweetened element to it, but it's very, very deep, robust brown ale. I think this is going to be a little more of a heavier brown ale than typical, but it is 6.5% ABV, and it is. I don't know if this is a seasonal beer. I was gifted this. And maybe they have New Holland. I think they have New Holland around here, but I'm not sure if this is a seasonal. I'll try to add it into the little windows. But this would be a great brown ale winter seasonal if it is just a seasonal. But yeah, very deep richness going on. So I like it. I'm curious to see where we go with the taste, but I like it on aroma. And let's keep going. It almost tastes like a more robust Oktoberfest beer. There is a charcoaly maltiness to it with bread crust. So it's got kind of like that like a crunchy bread, not like a French loaf or something like an artisanal kind of bread, like just like the crunchy crust on it. It's got that kind of taste to it. Definitely pulling up some charcoal. There is still a bit of nuttiness to it. Yeah, more charcoal. Maybe the bread crust is there's a little charring going on. It's like a wood-fired stove pizza crust that might have been in a hair longer than optimal. There's a hint of nuttiness. That sweetness is kind of going away. I'm not picking up as much of that in the actual beer as when I smelled it. With that said, there is maybe a dab of like that molasses sweetener. It is not very sugary. It's very it's covered by a lot of the other kind of charcoal, crisp pizza crust or whatever taste. I'm liking it, but there's something that I wish was in it, and I'm not totally sure. It's kind of there's a lot of that that subtle burnt charcoaly crust going on. There's a lot of that, and I feel like there's just a dab of something in that mix. It would kind of break it up a little bit, and it'd be fantastic. I don't know if I'm looking for just a subtle introduction of like vanilla, maybe like if this was aged in a vanilla cask or something like that. I think that that minute dab of something lighter would go in infinite long ways into taking this just totally over the top. Again, I like it, but there's something about, there's just something that could be dropped in the middle of it that'd be like, yes. But it is, I think, a slightly heavier than your average brown ale. This is like I don't know what other category you put it in right now, but yeah, I think if you're in terms of if you're trying to really picture the taste, going with an almost Oktoberfest, but just more charcoal, little more burnt toast, little darker and richer. And the alcohol content is 6.5% for this. Your average Oktoberfest was going to be a point and a half lower than that, but right along that same kind of line. I'll recommend it on taste. It's not bad. I think there could be some small things that make it better, but I think for the most part it is if you want a strong brown ale, this one works. And all right, next category is value price, and it's a wider distributed craft beer. Usually you have your just kind of local brew pubs that don't really go anywhere. Then you have a couple micro craft beers that maybe it's only distributed in the state, and then you get to something like this where I think it's even more than a regional. New Holland, it's not the hardest beer to find, so it's out there and it is priced accordingly. So it's a fair price. I can't remember exactly what the New Hollands cost, but usually New Holland or any kind of craft beer that's not an IPA is going to be pretty fair priced. IPAs can get a little crapshooty sometimes, but this one's fair price, so I'll recommend that for value price. Distinction. How distinct is it? And honestly, it is stronger than most average brown ales, so keep that in mind if you pick this up. It's going to have a little more of a kick to it. At least a slightly higher alcohol content than what you might be anticipating for a brown ale. So it's a little more, it's got more of that kind of kick. And, that helps it stand out. It's not, ingredients-wise, it's not crazy different. It's, it's your regular kind of brown ale, just like amplified a little bit. I still think they could use a few other flavor notes that would help break up some of the things, but it's still distinct enough to be a little different, so I'll recommend it on distinction. Drinkability, it's it's not bad. For drinkability, it's not bad. I think if you were to introduce that subtle vanilla aspect to it, or something along that line, it would help break up some of that kind of charred crust taste and make it just a little bit easier. So I do feel like there are things that could be done to make it a little, easier on the palate to drink. Not that it's bad or hard or anything like that, but I do think it could be a little easier drinkability wise. So I'm gonna give it a half for that. Our last category is Would I Buy It Again? And it's well done. It's fine beer. It stands out from other brown ales. I wish there was a little something in it, like a little vanilla, a little nutmeg, a little clove, something to kind of break it wide open. And I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be anti-drinking it again, but I don't know if I necessarily go out of my way. Like, I want a brown ale today. This is what I'm going to go for. It's not really like super wowing me like that. I think if I was just shopping for brown ales, I'd probably just either go with like an English brown ale or just something I haven't had before. This one isn't like jumping up and down, being like, yes, keep me on reserve kind of thing. So, I mean, I'll give it a half. I wouldn't be anti-buying it again, but it's not the top of my list. So, alright, that is my review for a New Holland Cabin Fever Brown Ale. It's been a minute since I had just regular brown ale. And this one, I don't know if I'd call it traditional, but it's been a while. So it's nice to crack open something a little different from time to time, even though brown ale isn't all that different. So, yeah. So like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And so for myself and for New Holland Brewing Company's Cabin Fever Brown Ale, take it easy.